Hello, good morning. Apologies. Mummy taxi service had to come in to play this morning. Just literally, she decided she wanted a lift. So apologies, I am running so late this morning. Yeah, little lady decided she needed a lift to a friend's house. Couldn't really say no because she doesn't ask for that much. So yeah, all set now. We are. So, craft a long time. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let's see who we've got. I'm going to have to turn this heater off. I was actually really organised. I was ready to go about 9:30. Everything sorted. And then, nope, she needs a lift. Right. Well, she's there and she's out with her friends and it's a lovely day outside. She'll have fun. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Susie, Noala. Susie again. Morning, Ruth. Hi, Tracy. Good to see you all. Now, I will apologise. I forgot the clocks go forward. I know. Lost an hour in bed. Whew, terrible. So, today we have got 4 cards we're going to work on. We're going to take it nice and slow. I'm going to try and show you a few little tips and hints as we go along. And hopefully, we will start doing one of these a month. So, if you want to... Let me see if I can... Oh, we'll do that in a minute. So yeah, hopefully we'll start doing these once a month. So should we get going? I know. I'm sat here gibbering and I'm rude. How rude, I'm 20 minutes late. Do apologise. So, should we get going? Let me see if I can find the right screen. There we go. See? All sorted. Right. Have you got all your bits and bobs ready? We're going to start off with this little lovely. So, I've put all my stamps ready. I've got my inks in piles. I should have shown you before. I've got inks. I'll show you actually. Oh no, well. Inks in piles behind me, all ready to go in the colours. So this is the one we're going to start with. I'm going to show it you in inks, so Distress inks, and I'm going to show it you in oxides because I know some of you have got some inks that you don't always use, and I know some of you have only got oxides. Morning, Mum. So I'm going to show it you in both for this one because it's such a nice little card and it's so easy to do. So I'm going to show you in both first. So I'm going to move that to one side and I'm just going to get a scrap piece. So I'm going to show you first and then we'll go through it together. And I need my stamp. What have I done with my stamp? Oh, I know where it is. There it is. I've moved it to the side. So the key here is, are you using inks or are you using oxides? If you're using your inks, dead straightforward. So inks, black box, says ink on the tub. Yep. I'm going to grab 2 of my colours. I'm going to start off with, I can't find my Twisted Citron ink. So we're having a bit of crap pistachio. With these ones, as long as you go paler to darker, you can add your colour at the same time. Oxides, no. So this is just for your ink. So I'm going to start off down here. Let me get rid of that bit of red on my finger. Going to pop that on there. So can you see I'm just adding a little bit of ink, then I'm going to go to my next one. Oops. And I'm just going to add a bit on there as well. And then the key is we need to spritz. So, oops, let me move that out of the way. I'm going to actually pop back to this one. So when I say I'm going to spritz, yeah, arm's length. So can you see? Oh, you can't really see. Turn you around that way a little bit. I'm going to hold it arm's length away like that and I'm going to spritz. So it's almost like I'm doing archery, yeah? You don't want it like this because that's what causes bubbles and puddles on your stamp. You want it nice. If I do that, there you go, and I'm just going to spritz so it gets a nice misting. And then if I bring that back to this one, so I'm going to do a lot of flitting around today so I want to make sure I've just covered myself in ink on that one. So we've got bubbles, I don't know if you can quite see. Little bubbles, there you go. If you've got big patches of water, when you turn it over, that's what's going to drip. Yep, so you want these lovely bubbles. You can just about see on there. Yep, and then we're going to stamp. I'm just going to stamp like that. So that's your ink. Right, so Noala's doing oxides. That's fine. I just wanted to show both because you can use both. So that is your ink. Yep, so you can see you get your lovely mustard seed. I couldn't remember what colour I'd used then. You've got your mustard seed, you've got your cracked pistachio, and in the middle you've got the mixture of the two. So let me clean that off. I'm going to show you your oxides. So if you're using your oxides, or you might be using a mixture of both, which is fine too. So make sure you've got a nice, always make sure if you're using your oxides, you've got a nice clean-ish, in my case, dry stamp. Dry is the key here. If it's not dry, you're going to damage your ink pads. Yep. So I'm going to do exactly the same again this time. I'm going to take my mustard seed. Oh, excuse me. I'm just going to add some to it. So I'm going to go for the bottom bit again. So I'm treating this stamp, because it's so big, like a poly plate. Now, if I put this straight on my oxide, what's going to happen is that is going to end up on this ink pad, and we don't want that at all. So what we need to do is you need to grab a blending tool, a piece of kitchen roll, anything like that. And we're going to pick some up onto our tissue or blending tool or whatever you've got, and then we're just going to come and pop it on. And you've got a little bit more control with this, because now you can go, well actually I want the middle to be completely green. So I'm going to come back in, I'm just going to go straight over my middle. There we go. And I'm going to do exactly the same again. So you can see I've got my yellow, I've got my green. I'm going to leave that to one side. Then I'm going to do exactly the same again. Oops, that didn't work. That did work though. So I'm going to do nice big archery arms, yeah, and spritz. You can see it's just a real gentle misting. And then if I bring that back over here, let me just check. Now, if I show you this one, there we go. You can tell not quite enough water there, so I'm just going to do one more. So now, can you see I've got my lovely bubbles? So whether you've got your inks or your oxides, you're looking for your bubbles, and I'm just going to clean around the edge because mine's very wet. Don't think I tidied it up before, did I? And I'm just going to splodge it down. And there we go. So we've got our ink and we've got our oxide. Yep. So should we get on with our card next? So I'm actually going to stick with my inks for this one. But oxide, you've seen how we do our oxides? Yep, so you put it on with your tissue. Right, so I'm going to move that to one side. You should all have got, I'll show you, your kit list. Mine's in black and white because the colour printer doesn't like me. So you had your kit list. So the pre-cut card for this one, we're going to do a 5x7, yep. You want a coloured mat, and you've got your white card down here to cut to. Yep, so all your information is on that kit list, which is on our website as well. So I'm going to move these out of the way so I don't cause myself any mischief mixing the two up. And I'm going to take my little white mat. So this is 4.5, yep, by 6.5. I had to double check then, could you tell? And I'm just going to start inking up. So obviously I'm using inks, so I'm just going to do a little bit at the bottom, because we're going to change this around as we move up our card. So I'm going to start off with my yellow. I'm going to twist it round, making it easier for me so I don't have to lean over. And I'm going to do my green. And then I'm going to do my spritzing. So again, I'm going to hold it to the side. Archery arms. And then I'm just going to pop one somewhere at the bottom down here. Just like that. Give me a shout if I'm going too fast. Right, so there's number one. There you go, and I'm just cleaning up my stamp. Whether you're using your inks or your oxides, make sure you clean your stamps up in between, because if you start adding your, I had a bit of gunk there. If you start adding your inks to it, all you're going to do is start contaminating your inks, and you don't want to be doing that. Inks are more forgiving, but you still don't want to be adding inks and making them go muddy. I'm just going to clean my stamp off. And then this time, I'm actually going to start with my green. So we did yellow to green. This time I'm going to do green. Just like that. And I'm going to add my blue. So I'm going to twist it round so I'm not leaning over, because I hate getting ink on my sleeves. The amount of tops that have got different coloured cuffs to the rest of them. Whew. Yep, so I've got green and blue, and then archery arms. You're all going to be sat there saying archery arms till you get your bubbles. I don't know if it's going to quite show there. There you go. There you go. Can you see? Bubbles. Not puddles, bubbles. Yep. Then I'm just going to turn it round. And this one's going to come kind of in the middle of our card this time. Just like that. Oh, yeah, I might have put a little bit too much water on that one, but it's still okay. There we go. Slower. That's fine. I can go a little bit slower. Now, can you see I've put a little bit too much water on here? Yep. So next time I'm just going to add a little bit less. Yep. So you can see what I'm trying to do, can't you? Yellow to green, green to blue, and then we're going to do, you've guessed right, blue to yellow. Yep. So before I do anything else, make sure you clean up your stamp. Really important when you're working with your oxides. So remember, I'll just recap. I'm going to put that one to one side for a second. And I'm just going to recap for your oxides, because I know it will take a little bit longer with your oxides. Got a bit of tissue stuck in there. So I know we've just had quite a few people just join us. So if you're using your oxides, oops, there. I'm going to do my green to blue on this one. So ink him up. Just like that. Oh, I've got a bit of tissue in the way. So I've only inked up half, because I'm going to take my blue and twist him round, and then just add. And if you've got blending tools or anything, I use kitchen roll because, well, it's always on my desk. And I can't really lose a big roll of kitchen roll, can I? But blending tools work just as well. I'm not sure about blending brushes, because it might be a bit hard to apply your ink with blending brushes, but definitely blending tools. So you can see on there I've got my two different oxides. And I'm going to do my archery arms again until I've got my bubbles. Ooh. You know, I was complaining I was too hot a minute ago. Yeah, I've just had to put my heater back on. So you can see lovely bubbles. Then this is ink, this one's oxide. So let's pop this one somewhere over there. I think with this one it's the colours, isn't it? How lovely and bright the colours are. There we go. Oops, the daisy picked up the wrong tissue. Won't be using that for oxides again. There we go. So we should have about 2 on here. I'm just cleaning up my stamp. It does look pretty, doesn't it? Yeah. It's really easy to do, isn't it? So I'm going to put my third one up here, and this time I want to go blue back to the yellow, but I'm not going to start with my blue, because if I put my blue first, I'm going to contaminate my yellow. So always start with your paler one first. So let me grab my mustard seed again. I'm just inking up the front, let me see. Would help if I moved it so you could see it. So I'm going to ink up my top first. And then I'm going to go to my darker colour. Always do your paler and then your darker, whether that's oxides or inks. There we go. I'm just going to pull that blue down. It's exactly the same as what you'd be doing on a poly plate. We're just using a stamp instead. And then we do our archery arms. And then we're just going to pop this one. Coming in. All decisions. I think he's going to go there. Yeah. It's going there now. So we have got 3 up that side, and I'm just going to get rid of that one because I'm getting oxide everywhere and I don't mean to. Like that. I'm just making sure I am cleaning as I go. I know it's so odd for me to be cleaning stamps. Good job you're all sat down. Revelation, me cleaning stamps. Woof. Right, so there's that one. Now, if we pull back in this one, I've gone a bit bigger with mine on this one, but I do want to put, can you see how I've got a big gap here? Yeah? So on this card, I'd kind of bunched them together a bit more. So I had a gap up in this top corner. On this one, I've kind of spread them out a bit more, but I've ended up with a gap here. So basically I want to do one more just to fill my little gap. Yep. And I really like, out of my 3, I like my yellow and my green one the best. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to come and put in here somewhere. So I'm going to do my yellow to my green. You choose whichever one works for you. Yeah, but you can see I've got that big. If I had a little sentiment, ooh, let me show you. There you go, that one will do. If I had a littleish sentiment, look how cool that would look. Going into that little space, maybe not that one. I need something. There we go, that one. So if I had a tall, thinnish sentiment, look at that for that gap. Yeah, perfect. I haven't. I've got our big bruiser of a sentiment. Yeah. Yeah, which is going to go right in the middle. So if I pop that right in the middle, this bit looks a bit naked, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's why I'm going to put one extra on. So I'm going to go yellow to green. Pop my yellow on. Got it all over my stamp base as well. And then now, I nearly had inky pinkies there everywhere, didn't I? If you did, don't worry, because you can do a little bit of splattering. Yep. So I'm just going to archery arms this one. I didn't think through, did I? I've not brought much water out with me. And then I'm just going to pop this one in my gap. Somewhere about there, I think. Just like that. And then I'm done. I'm done with this stamp for now. I'm just going to give it a nice good clean. There we go. So, oops, nearly fell off my chair. There we go. I'm going to move my inks to one side as well, because, well, if you'd have ended up with a bit of an inky pinky, literally add a little bit of, you know what, I'm going to do it because I think it'll look quite nice anyway. So any inky pinkies you can soon hide with a little bit on your work top. I've gone for my palest one. I'm going to go for that big brush. Need a bit more water. But you don't have to. If you want to splatter, you can do. But it is a great way of hiding any inky pinkiness. So I'm just going to do a couple down here. There we go. So I've hardly done any, but like I say, inky pinkies, a good way to hide it. Not that I'm saying that you've all put inky pinkies all over yours. Normally I would have done, so I'm quite impressed with myself that I haven't. And then I'm just going to get this dry. And this is the part you don't skimp on. Yeah, if you want to get a big sentiment on there, or any sentiment on there to be fair, and you want that black ink to be nice and crisp, you're never going to achieve that if you're stamping onto something that's wet. So make sure everything is dry. Just keep working around on it. Now you can see this one I went really wet, which is why it's puddled a bit. I'm being picky looking at mine. How cute does that look though? Just keep working around. If your paper's gone a bit like, what do you call it, wrinkly, turn it over and heat it from the back, and that way it'll go the other way and it just flattens it out a bit. There we go. How much fun's that? Oops, I've got stamps everywhere. So that is lovely and dry. And you can see, I think this is my favourite, where I go mustard seed to, it should have been twisted citron, but it's actually cracked pistachio. This one I think I've messed up a bit, but I'm being picky. Being really picky. So we're ready for our sentiment. So whatever sentiment you have got, we're going to splat it on there. That doesn't sound right either, does it? So just make sure, this is a really big one, so when you're applying your stamps, you see how I put mine down there, I'm just making sure I've not got any bubbles, because the last thing you want is some bubbles when you're putting on big sentiments like this, or whether it's a big stamp, big solid stamp. Make sure you've got no bubbles behind it, and you're not going to be chasing your tail. When you're stamping it. Sorry, I keep yawning, I do apologise. Oh, it's because I had to run out. Right, so I think this is my inky one. We'll soon find out. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the inkier one. Let's move that out of the way, so I'm not doing this all day on us. So I'm just going to ink it up in black, because I think with all that beautiful colour in the background, black is definitely the way to go. Just give it really good all over. There we go. then all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this, so that way it'd be really hard to stamp, whereas this way it's a lot easier. And then I'm just going to line them up somewhere in the middle, making sure my fonts that have got a straight bottom are straightish, are lined up with the edges. I'm just going to give that a quick press. Dink, 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 dink. And this will tell you whether I have been a bit too over enthusiastic and not dried it quickly, not dried it enough even. There we go. Oh, look at how wonky that is. My flowers are pushing it over is what it is. Yeah, my flowers are definitely pushing that over. There we go. And then my favourite friend, if there's any bits of my little black that I've not quite got or I didn't quite ink up properly, little black gel pen, and just, but to be fair, that's fine. If you're worried about, can you see here where my green and my black are a little bit, no, too far away, you've not got binoculars. There we go. So if you look at that where I've got some and the forget, it looks, it's fighting a little bit, isn't it? So if you've got any that's fighting like that, yeah, you see it just gets, from a distance, up close it's alright, isn't it? Yeah, from a distance it's just fighting a little bit, and this is me being really picky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my white gel pen, and this is where the 0.5 comes into its own, but I haven't got a clue where mine is. And I'm just going to add a little bit of white, just not on all of it, just on the bits that are causing me a bit of, not annoyance, a bit of eye strain, we'll call it. Yeah, that's all I'm doing, just adding a little tiny bit. So now, can you see how it's now really popped out? Oh, thanks, Susie. It's a really easy one to do, isn't it, this? But it'll work with any solid stamp, or your poly plates. So any solid stamps you've got, it'll work with. Just remember, paler, darker, whether that's oxide or ink. Oxide, you need to apply your second colour with tissue or with blending tools, whatever you normally use, apply it with that. Yeah, so that's that one. And then I have just got a little bit of green. It's very green for me, but I think it works quite well, doesn't it? I'm going to pop that there, and I've got some glue actually. Let's pick up some glue. You could, if you want to, doodle around the edge if you think it needs a bit more, but personally I don't. There we go. Oops. Give that a little bit longer with my glue. And then I'm just going to stick that one onto my base card. It is a simple one, isn't it? But really effective. I think it will look amazing. There we go. Just gonna hold it for a second. There you go. Got it stuck to my table. Not quite sure how I managed that. So, see, I was a little bit more heavy-handed with my colour on this one. Actually, in fact, that's oxide. That one's been done in oxide, that one's been done in ink. I didn't realise I'd not done them the same. There you go. And I've done it again. I was meant to take pictures of that as I went along. Whoops. So, that is our first one. Yep. I thought there was someone coming in the door then. No, there's not. To be fair, I don't think Bear's getting out of bed today. He's already said he's having a lazy day. So, that's our first one. How have you got on? Yeah. Has it worked? Have you got any issues with it? Because it's all about the amount of water you put down and the order in which you put your colours down. So paler, darker, archery arms, nice little bubbles. If it floods, you've got no chance. You end up with little bits like this. Yeah, or worse, you end up with drippage and a waterfall. Yeah, we don't want that. No owls ended up with 4. That's fine. However you want to pop it on there. It's always the best when you... Sometimes when you drop stuff, it makes you think, oh, and you end up changing your design a little bit. But you can see, can't you, on this one, because I'd done it slightly different, I'd laid it out different to this one. That big gap there versus that big gap there. Yeah? So just work with what you got. Okay? So that was our first one. Shall we have a look at our next one? Are we all ready? So I'm going to move these to one side. In fact, I'll stand it up behind me so I don't lose it for later. I'll pop it there. I've ended up with a massive... There you go, Tracy. It's all about the water, isn't it? It's one of those things. Once you get... For me, the key is making sure you've got archery arms. If you're too close, you're going to get those bubbles. You want bubbles, not puddles. I was trying to say in both words at the same time. And if you get those big clumps of water, that's where it all starts to go wrong. So whenever you're doing anything, you know, any of the like make or takes or workshops with me, if you end up with big puddles on your stamp, I'll say, oh, hang on, let's wipe that off and start again. And it's not because you've done anything wrong. I just know when you flick that over, you're going to end up with drippage, and we don't want that. Yep. So always look, get your bubbles, and then go for it. So, are we ready? Next up, I need my mustard seed, and I'm going to go oxide for this one. Could do a bit of both actually, I suppose. I'm going to go one lipstick, and I need my oxide. There we go, and that one. So, you can see, dead easy, really easy this one. It looks a little bit more, I was going to say congregated, that's the wrong word. Complicated. It's Sunday, my words haven't come out yet. Looks a little bit more complicated, but it isn't, honestly. Really easy to do. So, I've got me two, I've got oxides. I'm going to use oxides for this one. And I'm going to pop that to one side. And I've got my paper already cut. I know. It's amazing. I'm actually a little... I'm not going to jinx myself, but I might use that O word. I'm a little bit... Yeah, today. So, first up, you want the carrier sheet off one of your stamp sets. Yep, so just get your acetate. I'm going to show you something first. Right? We can do this technique by popping it straight onto our table. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to split. Oh, my duck's back. And then we can splat. I have absolutely no say on where that ink's going, doing it that way. However, to be fair, I quite like that. However, if we do it the other way, where we put the ink onto the acetate, because I get asked this all the time, why do I put it onto acetate? It's because I have control. Yeah, I want the control of where my ink is going. And Also, whether it's going watery or whether it's going dotty. What do I mean by that? Let me find, I don't want you, I want my acetate. Where's my acetate sheet? There it is. So this time, I'm just going to put a little bit on. Yeah. So on your desk, you're tempted to everywhere. No, we just want a few little bits. Yep, you can see. I'm just using the edge of my ink pad really, because I've hardly done any. Then we're going to spritz. Again, this is key, because if you go here, I'm going to put a big puddle here, and then this bit hasn't been activated. So you want a good misting again. So I'm going to turn it archery arms, and we're going to go like that. Now, I know if I was to stamp this, this isn't going to move much. So I'm going to do one more. So can you see my ink's in bubbles? Yep, and it's going to start moving. So when I come to put this down on my paper, I'm not going to splat it like that because I'm going to end up with all those lines. What I'm going to do is just take little bits, and this is why using acetate works so well, because you can just take little bits of it. Yeah. And then if I want a bit more, if I want to come up here a bit more, I'm just going to come and rub that bit. Yep, so I've got full control. Yep, so that's why I use my acetate. This, no control, it's going everywhere. Great for backgrounds, don't get me wrong. This, ooh, I've got brush show everywhere now. This one I've got a bit more control, so if I just want a little patch, use your acetate. So, should we get started with this one? I'm going to just wipe this off. I can't remember which side it's on. This side. So I'm going to start again. I'm going to grab, I've got yellow fingers. I'm going to grab my yellow. I'm just going to pop a little bit on. Hardly any really, because I only want a little patch. I'm going to spritz. Ooh, I was a bit close. Can you see? I've got big balls on there. I was a bit closer this time. And then if I look at our card, I've done like a band. Yep, I've left nice white space on this side for our greeting, but I've done like a bit of a band down the left hand side of my card. So that's what I'm going to do again. So making it, if I try and do it there, it's going to be really awkward, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to do it that way. Yep, just so it's easier for me to work with. I'm just going to start popping it down, and I'm in full control with my inks. Again, inks or oxides for this would work. There we go. I'm not going to do too much, she says, and she's covered the page. Wipe that off, so make sure you clean up your acetate, because there's nothing worse than putting your arm in your acetate. Not something I would recommend. Nope, 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 nope. And then before we add our next colour, whether you're using inks or oxides for this, always dry it. Because if you don't, you're going to end up with a big muddy mess. Yeah, because your inks will just mix together and create mud. And actually, your oxides do the same. It's the one time they will mix and merge together. So we're going to get this nice and dry. My card's turning into a banana. Let's whack it on the back again. There we go, so it's nice and dry. And then we're going to do exactly the same with our pink. However, this time we're going to use a little bit less. Yep. So I'm going to come back in with my pink. I'm just going to do 2 splodges this time with my pink. And then archery arms it. And we're just going to splat it on again. Oops. Now you can see mine wasn't quite moving as I thought it was, but it is now. there was me saying, oh, I love this because I get all the control I want. Yep, I got it straight off the paper. I'm just going to spritz it again. I'm not quite getting it watery enough for my liking. So I'm just going to pop a little bit going out that way. See? And I'm going to turn it around and just do another little bit there. There we go. Now let's get this dry. So make sure you clean up your acetate. Nothing worse than having inky acetate left all over. And I'm going to tidy up my desk as well because I've ended up with splatter marks everywhere. And let's get this dry. So again, key is we want this nice and dry. I've got a banana again. We'll sort that out this time, I think. I've got a little spot here that doesn't want to dry, so I'm just giving it extra and an evil look as well, so it always up. There you go, see? Wasn't wanting to dry, give it an evil look. Straight away it's done it. This is also where I end up with extra colours in mine, because I normally end up with a bit of random brush over or something that, you know, one of the kids have been playing with. Sorry, using, not playing with. They use and make, they don't play. Come on, Mr. Banana. Yeah, that's not going to straighten out. So we're going to give it a helping hand. I'm just going to fold it gently. There we go. So we've got a nice little patch. Yep. You can see. Yeah. So we've got that nice little band of colour coming down. Could do it the other way around, I suppose. I'm just trying to re-flatten mine. Yep. So got a lovely background going on. Now we want to start working on, I'm using chicken wire in the back of mine because you know I love my chicken wire. You know, it is one of my favourites. I will admit that, chicken wire all the way. And so we're going to put a bit of chicken wire in the back, but cracks would work for this, handwriting, any of those, pop it in the back of this one. So again, I'm going to oik it round because I'm not trying to stamp like this, because if you look at my stamp on my block, it's like that. And I can't stamp like that, I need to hold my stamp. So I'm turning my paper all the time to make sure it's comfy. So I'm going to pop that to one side. I'm going to go back to my mustard seed. And I'm just going to ink it up. Make sure it's a good ink. And now I could stamp that straight away on there. But it's going to look a little, actually. There we go. If I stamp it straight on there, it looks a bit too clean and crisp, doesn't it? Yeah? However, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ink him up again, because I've used all my ink. I'm going to archery arms him. Yep. So I've got little bubbles. I don't want big bubbles like we had before. I want little bubbles. Then you can always clean it up if you're worried about inky pinkies. I think I got my hand more than I got my stamp on that one. And I'm going to stamp one towards the top and in a bit. So about there. And just lift him up. So can you see it's a little bit more subtle? So I'll come here, nice clean and crisp, which was it just stamped. It's stamped but it's been spritzed this time. Ooh, crumbly tumbly time, sorry. And I think it just fits better. Yep. And then, looks a bit daft just having one, so I'm going to clean up my stamp again. So make sure you clean it, make sure you dry it, that's the key, make sure it's nice and dry before you come and put your ink on it again. So I'm going to pop my ink on again. Archery arms time. Keep spritzing my leg, not my stamp. And then this time I'm going to turn it around again. So I've turned my stamp around. Can you see how my stamp's got that really interesting shape to it? So I'm going to see that bit there, and then I'm going to twist it round. And I want it to come up. So, excuse my head, I'm going to line it up on the stamp. There or thereabouts. There we go. And then we're going to lift that off. And I spritz that one more so you can see it's just disappearing a little bit in the background. But that's okay. You could do this with any of your texture stamps. We're basically building up layers. We've got the lovely layer at the bottom of our colour. Then we've got our chicken wire, so quite an open texture stamp. And then we're going to move on to a more detailed texture stamp. So this is wet. Yep. Let's get it dry. And you know the really nice thing about using the same colours again, I don't know exactly. I'll show you before I carry on going. I put an inky pinky up here, but because it's the same colour, oh, you can quite see, there you go. But because it's the same colours as the background, unless you're really looking for it, you're never going to notice. Yeah. So, nice. Get this nice and dry. Got that little bit of Mylar tape in the way. Again. Oh, still getting me. There we go. Make sure it's nice and dry, because this time, the next thing we do, I'll try and get me words out, is we're going to stamp oxide over the top. There we go. I'm going to turn it over. Let's see if we can get rid of a bit of this banana. Nope. So I'm going to move that one to the back. I'm going to unbanana card. Just look, because we use that water, you've got lovely, it's almost like the chicken wires 3D, yeah? So I bring this one back in. It's pretty flat, isn't it? Looks a bit more 3D. Pretty flat, 3D. Yeah. There's always method in my madness, honestly. Well, that's what I try and tell myself. Right, so next, we're going to use our lovely little happiness. Yep, so I've got my happiness. And guess what colour we're going to use? We're going to stick to the colours we've got on our card so far. I was trying to think what the word was. It's a card, isn't it? And I'm just going to straight ink onto this one. So I've got my pink, my worn lipstick. And I'm just going to splat this. I'm going to try and keep over my panel. So I'm going to start down here, I think. Oops. I would be able to stamp it if I didn't put my fingers in the way. And I'm just going to do a couple of seconds. third generation off that ink we've had. And I'm going to ink it up again. And this is one of those chicken and egg ones. You really don't know when enough is enough on this one. Just like that. I'm going to bring it down here. I'm not even worrying too much. Now down here is where I'm going to put my sentiment. I've just put 2 inky pinkies on there, never mind. So mine's going to go all the way over there. I was going to say try and leave it a little bit paler over there. But I dunked my stamp before I could do anything about it. And can you see, I'm just using now my stamp just to fill in any bits that look a bit empty. There you go, I think that's okay. So you can still see that lovely bright yellow chicken wire. You can still see the yellow and pink that we've put in at the bottom. And then we've just added our worn lipstick over the top. Right, and make sure you clean stamps because it was oxide. So, before we do anything else now, because we're nearly done on this one, we are, I'm going to dry this again, because when we come to put our black ink over the top, anything that's wet on our oxide is just going to reactivate. Yeah, so what it'll do is it'll then pull itself to the top, so you can put as much black ink down as you want. If your oxide's wet, it's just going to go, and you're going to get a mottled effect on your black ink. So we're going to dry it, and then we're going to stamp on top of it. Which is why those of you that come and do make and takes with me, I'm like, yeah, I'm just setting you up to fail here because I don't have my heat guns and things on. The stand does. So I make you stamp over wet stuff. I know. I'm really mean, really. To be fair, this is quite a nice little background by itself. Yep, let's just make sure it is lovely and dry before we put that bit of black ink on. Morning, Maxie. Don't you worry, I was late as well. Taxi services I was. I won't care, I've had it up on the calendar for that long that everybody knew that I wasn't around this morning, and then little lady decided, yep, she's going to a friend's house, need a lift. Right. Done. Yep. So I'm just going to unbananify. That is the new technical term. I don't know why this one has got a bend on so much. But it has. So, there you go. We've got our background sorted. We're going to grab our little flower. Well, it's not a little flower, is it? It's a big flower. And then there's my sentiment from before. And then we're just going to look where we want to stamp it. I'm going to stamp it about here, I think. Make sure it's nice and flat. There we go. And then I'm just going to get this inked up with my black ink. So there's nothing complicated about what we're doing today. It's just the layers, and hopefully you're getting a bit better understanding why I do things in certain orders, or why I do use my heat gun so much. So I'm just going to make sure I've got a really good layer, because obviously it wants oxide, so that in itself you just need to put extra ink on. And then we're going to pop this on here and splat. There we go. I'm not going to leave it again, just splat it on there. You saw what happened when I started dillying and dallying down there. I ended up with pink where I didn't want it. I'm just giving it a real good press because again we're working on top of our oxides. Thought it was raining then, I hope it's not. I'm going to take that off. Dink, 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 dink. There we go. Mine did decide to have a bit of an argument. So I'm just going to go back in. You can see there that pink, it's having none of it. So black pen is your friend. So I'm going to leave that, I think. Come on, girl. I'm just going to add a little bit of my black pen. Just a bit all over. You can see the words, especially where it was just pure oxide, where we haven't watered it down, where we've not spritzed it or anything. If I hold it up, don't know if it'll quite catch it. You can see that love straight through, can't you? Here. Yep, so that's what I mean. Your oxide is going to push to the top. It really is. That's okay. Right. So looks nice. Yeah. White gel pen. We're going to give it a bit more character because at the moment I can show you actually. Oof. Yeah. Hold them two together. See a big difference, can't you? This one with our little white gel pen really does make it stand out a bit. This one looks alright, but I think it looks better with a white gel pen. So I'm going to pop that down there, and then we're just going to start adding bits of gel pen on here. So just a little bit here and there. To me it makes it look a bit like balloons, those hearts. I keep meaning to try glossy accent in my middles as well. And if you notice when I'm going round, I start to move it round as well, if that makes sense. So where I'm adding my white bits, I start to move it around a little bit. There we go, just keep moving it, make sure you don't pop your hand on top of it because there's nothing worse yep, then popping your hand in your white bits. Whew, terrible. And you could always glossy accent your middle as well. Oh, nearly forgot the sentiment. So I am just going to use one of my little sayings off the stamp set. I've got kind thoughts there. I thought I'd lost kind thoughts earlier. But I'm going to use wild and free because I love that little one. Wild and free. I'm just going to pop that. You could put this onto another piece of card and then mat and layer it up. Completely up to you. You know how to put your sayings on your cards. Completely up to you on that one. I'm going to do my wild and free. Just like that. And then I'm just going to splat it in the bottom. Might even do it a little bit further up. Just there. I think I moved it. Nope, I didn't. Don't know how I didn't. I'm going to put them back down there. So, where's my bits gone? I could just dry that because I know it's going to be a little bit wet. I'm just going to add my glue or your red tape or whatever you like to use for popping your cards together. There we go. See, I like my glue because I can still move it for a little bit. But I do like my tape because it's that instant grip, isn't it? So I guess it depends what I'm doing. Just need to be careful of that because it is wet. There we go. Get a good press down. You could have used foam pads. And actually, you know what? I've got a bit of glossy accents. It's shouting out, isn't it? Let's see if my glossy accents wants to come out. It does. So I'm only going to do the middle bit. There we go. That'll take a little bit to dry now. I know I am naughty, aren't I? This is exactly what we're doing, and then I put extra bits in. So, there is number 2. Hope you've enjoyed that one. Was a bit, well, literally we've done a pick up technique. We've used our chicken wire on there. We've used our lovely word art stamp on there. And then we've just stamped a flower over the top. Yep, really straightforward, but I think it's things like making sure, I'll go back to it again because I think it does make a big difference, doesn't it? Where we spritzed our chicken wire versus just stamping it. I think it really does give it that little 3D look. Yep. So these little tiny bits. And then because we spritzed that one, we've kept our words, because actually we want our words to be crisp. We've not spritzed them. Yep. Right. How are we doing? I hope yours has turned out at home. I've now got to be careful because that one's got a big glossy accents nose. I didn't think that bit through, did I? No, I didn't. I'll figure it out. I'll put it somewhere safe. You know what that means, doesn't it? It's going to get lost. Oh, thank you, Dorothy. Thanks, Ruth. Right. So, give us a shout out if you're not ready to move on. Noala wants to add some splatters. Absolutely, that's what splatters are there for. If you need, and also it's quite nice if you end up with, you see how this one ended up with like really loads of water, and it really I'll start that sentence again because that made no sense whatsoever. Right. When I do a pick-up technique, I like these little splodges, yeah? They're like splatters, yeah? Whereas this one, because we put it down, we had it on the table, and then we had no clue what was going on, you end up with big patches of water. What is nice afterwards is to get this dry, then take the same colour again off your table and splatter to get those little bits that stick out and make it look a little bit more interesting, yeah? So I nearly put that on top of there. You know it's going to happen, don't you? Right. So we're on to probably the trickiest one now. Not to make you all go ooh and worry. This one. Very similar to what we've just done, but a little bit different. Yep. So you can see we've got areas of colour. We've got our chicken wire again, because you know I love chicken wire. And we've got a little bit of coffee stain as well. Yeah, coffee stain's up there too, isn't it? And we've gone for one colour. So let me grab my one colour. I've used speckled egg. You can use whatever colours you fancy. You don't have to stick with my colours. But I'm going to go for speckled egg. So I'm going to move that to one side. And I'm going to take my smaller piece. So again, it is 4.75 by 6.75 to go on a 5x7. You know I love my 5x7s. I don't know what it is about 5x7s, but I do like them. And I'm going to want a nice clean paintbrush. You want quite a big fat paintbrush for this one. See, I knew that wasn't clean. So I'm making sure my paintbrush is clean. Right. Your paintbrushes will be nice and clean, won't they? Mine's definitely not. Right, so make sure my desk is dry as well. It won't be the first time I put an oxide onto a wet piece of desk. So you want something that's shiny. You could use your acetate for this. Completely up to you. I'm going to put a big splodge on my desk. So I have got a speckled egg. I think I said that before, didn't I? And I've got some water. Just realised, can you see what I'm doing? Yes, you can. So I want a puddle of water. It's the one time you do want a puddle. Yep. And I'm going to pop that into there. And you do want it watery. So we're just going to start blobbing it on. And we want to do just a little patch of it. So can you see, I'm not painting, I'm just kind of blobbing. Yep. Now I have got a really porous card here. So blob it on. Then give it a bit of a tap. Ooh, I've got some interesting bits going on here. I'm going to have another puddle. It's all about the puddles. I know I've told you all morning we don't want puddles. Well, we do now. There we go. I'm gonna bring this bit out. Can you see I'm making it a little bit bigger every time? Oh, you can quite see. Dun, dun, dun. This would be great with your sprays. If you've got the sprays, give a good spray across the edge. I'm going for it now. My last one was a bit subtle, this one's not as subtle. There we go. So, lots and lots. I'm loving these little shaky bits at the end. It's really pale, isn't it? I should have gone with a brighter colour. There we go. Now you've got a choice. You can either dry that, which means you're not moving that again, or you can kind of do the other end, but you're going to end up with potentially inky pinkies. So it's choice is up to you. So if you want to fix that, because actually I'm quite happy with that, I might fix mine. Or if you're feeling a bit brave, turn it round, and we're going to do exactly the same at this end. So I'm just going to start by adding loads to it. Yep, so I'm just splatting, splat, 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 splat. It's starting to run. Starting to run. Let's put a bit more on here. And give it a tap. Just be careful because this bit's a bit soggy, but you don't go creasing it. There we go. And I'm just encouraging my dribbles a bit more. There we go. I'm quite happy with that. I tell you, there's nothing technical about this one. Just slop it on and go for it. Now, I'm not going to get rid of this because this is looking a bit one colour at the moment. It's not got much depth to it. So I'm just going to dry this off. This one looks like the mountains. So just make sure. Oh, I'm making a mess. Just make sure it's dry. Mine is taking a bit of a while. I keep floating it in mid-air because I'm pretty sure I've got it all over my table. I haven't. Yep, it's still a bit wet. But I'm not going to worry too much. So, can you see? I'm going to add a little bit more to my desk as well. It's all kind of the same colour, yeah? And here's got a bit more texture to it. So what I'm going to do is find a dry bit on my desk, up here will do. I'm going to add a little bit more paint, a bit more colour. Yep, I'm just going to bring that water up into it. And we're just going to add a bit more to it. So can you see I'm just adding? So you end up with a bit more texture, a bit more, I'm not quite sure of the word. Yeah. You could if you wanted to. If you had a dry paintbrush, let me find a dry one. That one will be it. Pick your ink up. Nice dry ink. And then come in with, my ink's not dry enough on my table. Or a darker colour would work, I guess, on that as well. Yep, so I'm just going to add a bit more. Maybe just add a bit more down here too. There we go. So I've got what looks like a big mess in two corners of my card. Yep, you could paint it on if you're struggling, paint it on. I do like the dribblage, I will admit that. I'm going to do that at the bottom because look, it's got mountains. You all know I love the mountains. And I'm just going to dry this again because I've made it wet. But can you see now we've got like deeper colours. I know it's all the same colour. Deeper tones of it. There you go, and just make sure it's really dry because guess what? It's oxide. Now if you were doing it with your ink, it'd work just as well. Doing it with your sprays, you could do that as well. Yeah? I told you that bit was a little bit tricky. You could just paint it if you wanted to, so I know I'm coming up with all the easier solutions now. So a little bit of that there, on there like so. Let me find my brush that I've been using. And then just whip it on like that. And then dry it, and then obviously go back in with, so can you see you've got, it's a really pale colour, I do apologise. I should have gone with a darker one. There you go. So that's what I've done with mine, dribblage, splotting and all that kind of good stuff. And that's just dragging it on with a paintbrush. Yeah, so whatever works for you. Let me clean my desk up again. Get that off there. So we have got a bit of a background. Are we all in an inky mess, or are we ready to yeah. I can just see everyone with dribbles everywhere. No, don't like this one. Keep going, it will improve, I promise. So there's the one I did before. Okay. You see how it all works really well together. Maxine's home now. You've just missed out on all the dribblage. That's the word we're using, dribblage. So I'm hoping you're all keeping up. I need a chicken wire again next for this. I can't decide. No, I am. I'm going to do that at the bottom because it's so nice, those bits. Yeah. And you've got a decision to make again. So before we had our chicken wire where you just stamped it and you get this really, really crisp image, or where you ink it and spritz it, where you get, oops, where's it gone? There it is. This more 3D effect. I'm going to go with this one again, but it's up to you which one you use. You'll have a preference which one you either want, clean and crisp, where you just add your ink and stamp, or you'll want the more I don't want to say grungy because it's not, the more textured effects of your spritzing. So I'm just going to start again. So I'm going to ink it up again. I'm using chicken wire. You could use any of your texture stamps really for this, any of the open ones, cracked, distressed, handwriting, bubble wrap, even any of those. I've inked mine up. I'm going to archery arms it. I'm going to start with this one in the bottom because it's looking at me. So I'm just going to stamp over the top. There's that one. And make sure if you are spritzing, you need to dry your stamp off, don't you? There you go. Before you then do your other one. So I'm going to ink this one up. I've gone a bit over the top with my colour in the background, I will admit. It was meant to be subtle and I've kind of gone full on. I need to stop spritzing my leg as well. I'm getting a rather wet trouser leg. I'm just going to come and pop this one on here. There we go. But because we're just working with that one colour. Yeah, it's amazing how much of a range the colours have. Right, stamp's nice and dry. I'm going to dry this now. Even if you have done it straight onto your card, dry it, because it is oxide and no matter what you put on the top of it, it is just going to fight back. So I'm going to give this one a quick blitz with my heat gun. Just look at the colours you're getting like really pale greys through to greens, almost like a bundle sage colour in there. Got blue obviously in there as well. So many, ow, that was hot. So many colours in there. Right. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to grab my little coffee stain. I've chosen coffee stain because we've got quite linear with our chicken wire. and then it's just nice just to have that, just, you know, the curved edge of our coffee stain, which then pulls in the, you know, pulls into the stamped image. Yeah, so this is all nice and curvy, which then links our background to our image. Oh, Speckled Eggs one of Susie's favourites. Good. That's why I chose it then. To be fair, it is one of mine. It works beautifully with the flamingo pink. It is a nice colour. I think it can be a bit subtle at times though. So this, where I was trying to show you things, it's probably a little bit subtle for. But you're bearing with me. So we've got our splodges in the background. We've got our chicken wire. We're just going to add now a couple of bits of our coffee stain. So 1, 2, 3. Didn't quite make it. And again, I'm going to pop one down here. Just like that. We're going to do one in this top corner as well, even though I've got a curly corner. Rude of it. I'm going to do one. I'm actually going to ink it up again because my second and third generation aren't really showing, so I'm going to ink again. 2. 3. I'm just going to add a bit more down here as well. I'm going for it now. Turn it around, go like that. There we go. I ended up doing it all the same generation because it just wasn't as dark as I wanted it to be. Yep. So there you can really see the difference, can't you, in the one that I've spritzed and the one that was stamped solid. That's our little our little coffee stain. And then it's on to the good stuff now. We're going to put our image on and we're going to put a sentiment on there. It's really easy to finish this one off. Again, it's just choosing which one I'm going to do it that way. Like I say, mountains at the bottom. You know I've lost it. No, it's somewhere there. I'm only using one stamp today and I keep losing it. There we go, just maybe a bit on here. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to ink this up again. Make sure, I can't remember where my little bit was. I didn't want to. There it is. So on the last one I stamped, I had a big white mark, and it's because I've got something lumpy bumpy on my stamp, and it's just there, look. Don't even know what it is. Something yucky. Bit of tissue, I think. So it's not there this time. I'm just going to ink him up really, really well again. Would help if I put my lid back on my ink properly. Get a real good inking up. And don't forget your stalk as well. Yes, I have done that a few times. Don't forget as well, you can move the stalk of your flower around because it's quite thin. So if you wanted to, oh, I will do it. You can always ink it up again. If you wanted to, you can make it a bit more wibbly wobbly. You can make it a bit more straight. As long as your back goes down flat, you can move it wherever you want it to be. So we're going to come in. Ooh, it's very straight, that one's legs now. Stalk even. I'm going to pop that on there. Dunk, dunk, dunk. Give it a real good press. Ooh, did you hear that? That was my thumb. Oh. Not happy bunny. I know, stop using your thumb then, lady. I know. There we go. So you can see I've got a very different tail on this one, haven't I? A stalk, stem, stalk, whatever you call it. There you go. Just because I've repositioned it on my block. And then if you want it back where it should be, just lift it up. Yeah, and then it'll fall to where it was made. Yeah, but you could literally pop it wherever you wanted it to go. And then when you're ready, just let go and it'll go back. There you go. It'll go back to where it was designed to be. Yeah. So don't forget, move it. If it's not where you need it to be, move it. Right. So U-note score. We want some little white bits on here because it's the rules. Can hear somebody mowing the lawn. I'm about to say I think it's raining. I'm hoping it's going to start being a bit warmer and a bit nicer soon. And keep having days where you think, oh, this is it. And then I blitz the washing, get everything out on the line, and then it starts raining. Just going around with my white pen. Just like that. Right, so we've got that one. And then we just need to pop a sentiment on this one. So, what should we have this time? I think we might go with a bit of kind thoughts. So it's up to you. You can stamp directly. It's quite a nice one to stamp directly because you've got all this white space down here. Or you can use a little bit of scrap because you know I love using my scrap up. Mine's full of, if you're wondering what I'm doing, mine is absolutely filthy on the back. So it's not sticky at all. It's got all bits on it. There we go. It's fine now. Let's see if that one's okay. I am going to stamp it onto a scrap if it fits on here. Look at that. Doo doo doo. It's like it was made to be. I like it when things like that work. Nothing better than a piece of scrap that is cut to size. Yep, so you don't even have to do any cutting. It's all done for you. So we've got a bit of kind thoughts. Should we grow them? We might even grow some kind thoughts. There we go. So I'm just going to pop that on the other end. And then let's pop that on there. Now it's not to size for our grow, but we can sort that out, can't we? Pop them back up there. Just going to blitz that with my heat gun because again, I don't want it to move around. Yep. Nothing worse than smudging your sentiment after you've inked it up and stamped it. And don't forget, I will be putting well, obviously the video of this is on YouTube and Facebook, so it's always going to be there. But I'll also be putting it onto the Inspirations Craft Along page on our website, and I'll be doing the little one pages because a few of you have said that you find those really useful. The little like one page step by steps. So I will be doing that as well. Oops. Now I was meant to photograph that first one because I haven't got the photographs of that, and I meant to do it today and I forgot. That first one will be a little bit delayed. but the others are ready to go. So we're going to have a bit of kind thoughts, and we're going to have a bit of growing, or grow even. So we're going to pop that on there. We're going to turn it around, dunk, 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 dunk. Just like that. We're going to turn it around again. Ooh, I'm running out of card. There we go. Right. Get all my bits out of the way. We're going to do some grow kind thoughts, and then ooh, everything's falling over. And then I can't even tell what colour that is. Is that black? It is indeed. It seems a bit big to be cutting into. There we go. I knew I'd have a smaller piece. Look at that one. Handy having a scrap box right next to you, isn't it? Got a bit of a bend on it, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to use my glue because it's on my desk. Oops. I'm going to loop it up. Dink, 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 dink. So like I say, it's up to you what sentiments you're using on yours. I'm just using what came in the stamp set. I'm going to pop this one. I think I'm going to pop it next to it actually. Dunk, 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 dunk. Will it fit? Will it fit? Oh, it will. Look at that. That's going to go there. So before I do anything else with them, I'm going to do a bit of doodleage around the edge. You could doodle around this one as well. We might do. We might not. I'm going to go around our grow. Just like that. And like that. I've left too much of a gap at the top and not enough at the bottom. And then where's my guillotine gone again? I'm just going to do a little teeny tiny border around this. Oops, that's even teenier and tinier than I thought. Yeah, don't look at that one. See if I can move it up a bit. Nope, it's stuck. Oh well. It does look nice as well if you cut them, you know, like if you just do like doodly borders and then cut round them. And it don't matter if you can't cut card like me. Let's get rid of those bits. We'll keep that bit for later because I don't know what we're going to do on the next bit. Get our grow out of the way. Stay, thank you very much. And then all I'm going to do to finish this one off, we're going to pop it onto our base card, just a 5x7 base. There's that one. Onto there. Come on. And then all I'm going to do with these ones is I'm going to pop a little bit of foamy tape. I'm just going to do them a bit jiggled around the edge. Around, you know what I mean. I'm going to, yeah, I'm putting them on Scooter Griff at the bottom. Let's have a bit of grow as well. Ding, ding, ding. Get in there, there we go. It didn't want to come off, that one. Being rude. Let's have a little bit of grow. And there we go. I did wild and free on the other one. There we go. So number 3. Let me clean my glue up because it is getting a bit tough to squeeze out. That's number 3 done. We're not doing bad, are we? We're doing better if I was on time. I know, I'm sorry. Oops, stay. So, really simple one again. You could do that with your inks as well. I've used oxides because, well, I do like my oxides, and you do get a really nice like 3D effect using. See, that one I stamped solid. That one I did when we spritzing. Oh, thank you, Barbara. So, how are we doing? Are we keeping up? Do we need extra splatters? Though this one, again, it's another great one for extra splatterage, isn't it? Because, well, mine went off on one, didn't it? This one was a lot more reserved. This one behaved. This one didn't. Today's didn't. Yep. So, are we ready to move on to our 4th and final card of this morning? Well, it's this afternoon. It's this afternoon now. I'll be getting another phone call. Come and get me. No, I've told her, ring your dad. Ring your dad when you're ready for picking up. Right, I was just trying to find where I could put these. I'm going to put that one there. Right, we are on to 4th and final, which is our Messy Monkey card. I know, best till last and all that. So we are going full on colour. We are going lots and lots of mess. And just loads of fun. Yeah, so this is what we're going to create. I've got my grow kind thoughts on this one. I've really changed all my sentiment sayings up, haven't I? So that's what we're aiming for. That's what we will get. So you want your base card. So this should be 5 3/4. And you want your oxides. You can do this with inks if you want. You're not going to get quite the same, oh, excuse me, same textures. So can you see in the background, we've got loads and loads of texture going on. And that's because we've used oxide. But what I need is I need my wilted violet, I need my warm lipstick, and my mustard seed. There it is indeed. Now, odd combination for me, isn't it? But it's all, I tried to limit the amount of colours we were going to use today as well. So we've got mustard seed, warm lipstick, and a bit of wilted violet. That sounded like a song, didn't it? I burst into song for my final one. It's only 6:30 over in Dallas. Oh, Barbara, that sounds very early. The clock's changed here in the UK today, and I had kind of forgotten that bit. So, you know, we spring forward, don't we? So we lost an hour sleep. Though saying that, everyone was still up early in our house this morning. Right. So, you all know how this goes. You want your blending tools, you want your blending brushes, you want anything you've got to add lots and lots of colour. The more ink you add for this, the better it's going to be. I know you're so used to me saying this. You're probably bored of it. So we're going to start off with our yellow, and I want some really good yellow. I'll apologise now because my desk normally goes a bit wobbly bobbly when I start adding lots and lots of colour. Turn it round. I'm going to add another one here. Oh, I'm going very yellow this time. Nothing wrong with yellow. Just put a lot of yellow on. So we've got our yellow on there. I'm then going to grab my pink. I'm going to go exactly the same. I think I've just put yellow ink all over my face as well. We'll soon find out, won't we? Oh, oh, lots and lots of pink. That was a lot more intense than I thought it was going to be, but that's fine. And remember, when you're doing a technique like this, you are never going to get it exactly the same, because your ratios of colour are going to be different. No matter how hard you try, it is never going to be exactly the same. So I've got my pink, and I might need another piece of tissue. Oh no, I've got a white patch there. Just remember as well, I forgot to say, anything when you're using your oxides, whatever you're adding it with, whether it's a piece of kitchen roll like I'm using, your blending tools, your blending brushes, your what do you call it, big things like these, your big brushes, make sure you've got one colour per pad. So, you know, I've got a pink brush, I've got a blue brush, so make sure you try and stick to those colours, because otherwise they are going to contaminate your inks. Oh, Barbara, it's the only thing I use, because I always lose my blending tools and blending brushes. I do like my big blending brushes though for certain jobs. So we're just adding lots and lots of ink on here, and I know it looks a big mess at the moment. It really does, doesn't it? Lots and lots of ink, please. And it looks nothing like my first one, but that's okay. I've ended up with more pink this time. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take whatever's left on my tissue, because you can see I've got a lot of ink there, and I'm just going to come around the edge, because I want to try and tie this together a little bit. Yep. And don't forget, because oxides layer as well, you could go back in to say, I've decided actually I want a bit of purple there, so I'm just going to take what's on my tissue and just add a little bit in there. Might add a bit more here, yeah, wherever you want it. So I'm going to put my lids back on my ink, because it's going to get very messy at this point. I'm going to get rid of any extra tissue paper I've got. There we go. Right, told you it was going to get messy. I've got purple fingers. That's what we like. What we like. So I'm going to give you a minute, because I know I whap my colour on really, really fast. And you guys at home will be like, trying to keep up. No. We'll give it a minute. Yep. So you've got something. You can see on this one, I put a load of purple on this one. Not so much pink. Don't look anything like, does it, at the moment? It will do. So, lovely background. We could, if we wanted to now, go and do some faux bleaching like we normally do, you know, take the colour away. However, I'm not today. I'm going to grab my spritzer that is running out. And we've been practising our archery arms, haven't we? So remember, nice big archery arms when we do things. I'm going to do exactly the same with this, but I'm going to leave it on my table this time. So I am literally probably about chin or nose height away from my paper. So I'm going to give it really nice spritz. There we go. It's almost like it's gone cosmic, isn't it? So I'm not doing anything. I'm getting the, ooh, this isn't working. But I'm just going to give it a minute. I'm going to let it chill. Yeah, looks like galaxy, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm really resisting the urge to go in. You could, at this point, actually, it would look amazing. Like chuff up a piece of kitchen roll. You don't have to do this, but you could. So chuff it up so you've got like, can you see how I've got loads of texture? And then go on like that, and like that, if you wanted to. You don't have to. Yeah. You want it all. I did say I was going to leave it. We were leaving it. You knew I couldn't. So now, actually I can use a piece of kitchen roll to clean my desk up. I'm going to move it. I'm going to tidy my desk. We're going to give it another minute, or a few seconds in my case. because I am a little Miss Impatient, aren't I? And we're now going to get our heat gun. So can you see we've given it all that time? I'm actually going to give mine a bit more of a spritz because I might have left it a bit too long. There we go. And now you can play with this as well if you wanted to. Yeah, can you see it's moving? I did leave it a little bit long. It is going to take a bit to dry this one because I have drenched my card, which is why it's really important to use a really good quality card when you're doing stuff like this. Oh, I've got a banana card. Ooh. Slap it over. We do need some music, don't we, when the heat gun's going. And I told you this last one was messy. Come on, I know it wants to dry. Should be okay. Can you see we've now got a rather interesting background? Does look a bit cosmic. Imagine doing that on black. That would look nice, wouldn't it? So I'm just giving it a bit of a bend because it's got a bit of a banana action going on. Right, and now I need to decide. I quite like that yellow up at the top corner. So I'm going to grab our word art. Yep. Does look pretty cool, doesn't it? So, word art. We're going back to our yellow. I know. I'm going for the palest one because we can always add to, but we can't take away. And we're just going to fill it. Fill the paper. So again, if I bring this one back in, this is what we're aiming for. And you can see in here we've got yellows and we've got pinks in our background. Yeah, so pinks there, yellows there. And we're just going to cover the whole thing with our word art. So let's start down here. Do first, second, third generation, however many generations you want on there. Ink it up. I'm not even bothering about whether it's inked up well. It's just on there, and it's really subtle at the moment. So I'm just going to keep coming in. Just like that, and then I'm done with my yellow. I'm just going to clean it off because again, oxides. Every time we use an oxide we need to clean. Because we just don't want to be contaminating anything else, because it's not just your other oxides that will contaminate, it's your other inks as well. So I'm going to go in with my pink, which looks completely different to that, doesn't it? So no spritzing, no nothing. Let's just go. And we're going to start putting this in the gaps we have got. So I'm actually just going to keep going in time and time again until we are happy, or happy-ish, with our background. And I have gone a bit more for my first generation inking than my second. So any gaps that you can see that you just want to fill, pop a little bit in there. Right, I think I'm quite happy with mine. So I'm just going to do a clean up job. Start with my stamp, shall I? over that. And let's get all these bits off our desk, because you know you've got bits all over. Well, I have. You guys might be a lot neater than me. You probably are a lot neater than me. And then guess what we need to do? Yep, you're right. We need to dry it, don't we? Because the last thing we want to do is start putting our more inks and oxides on it over that wet ink. Yep. So I'm just going, you can see, I don't know if you can quite see the sheen on there because it's so wet. There we go. So you need it as dry as possible on this one. Yeah. I thought I was going to sneeze then, I didn't. Right, so we've got a bit of a background going on. Yep. You can see where we're going now, can't you, with this one? There we go, right. Oh, excuse me. Right, so can you see in this one we have got our black image stamped, but we've also got our purple, and there is a cheeky little pink one there. If I lift it up, it is there, I promise. You can just about see it if I hold it like that. So we're going to do the same again. So we need to think about... No, we didn't do the purple, pink and yellow. And the reason is because if we'd have done the purple, it's going to basically drown that background out. And we're using the purple to do this flower now. Yep. So we're going to use pink and we're going to use purple because it's going to stand out a little bit more. Yep. Always reasons for my madness, honest. So we've got a pink one down here, purple one here, and we've got our black one over at the top. So we need to think, I know, not words I normally use. We need to think where we're going to put our black image first. So I think our black image is going to go probably about there, because it, can you see how if I turn it round, it leaves me space for a purple one. I even move it to the side. No, that's fine. So I've got black one there. I'm going to do my purple one to the edge, and then I'm going to do my pink one down here. So I'm going to do my pink one first. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to position my stamp on there, and then I'm looking at how I'm going to stamp this. Let's move this out of the way. If you had a stamping platform, you'd set it up. Yep. I don't use my stamping platform because I argue. I've told you so many times I argue with it. It's not a good thing. So I'm going to put my pink one there. I'm also going to grab a piece of kitchen roll, and there's a reason for this. Yep. So basically, I want my stems coming towards the point of my thing, though we're not going to see that in a minute. And I'm trying to look for bits, reference points for when I come to stamp it. So, okay. I'm going to take that over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mask off this bottom bit, because I don't want my pink bit to fall off the edge when I come to ink it in a minute. I'm just masking off the last little bit of my stem. You don't have to. It's just me being picky. So I'm going to ink that up. And we're going to come along and we're going to pop that about there, I think. Making sure I've not masked off too much I had. Let's just move that out a little bit. Like that. And that's going to go there. Boom. I've done it now. Too late. So that was my pink. And remember, one lipstick can be a little bit tricky sometimes because it doesn't always want to come to the top. Yep. So it is there. It's quite subtle. Yep. Then we're going to do exactly the same again with our purple. So this time I'm going to move that over there while I clean up my stamp. And keeping my masking in place. I'm going to clean this up. And then we're going to do our purple. So if we'd have done purple words, they would have now been fighting with our flower that we're about to stamp. Pink one I'm not so bothered about. The purple one I am. Because I know it sounds daft, but the purple one makes you see the pink one. Yeah, because you can just about make out that pink one at the moment, but once I put this purple one on, yep, my stamp's nice and dry, remember. Remember to press down in the middle of your ink pad as well, because otherwise you won't be inking up properly. There we go. And then we're going to stamp this one. Now I wanted this up towards the top, so that you can see where our black one's going to go in a minute. What else did I stamped it somewhere where you could see it. There we go. Give it a good press. I should have done mine in a little bit more, but I got carried away. So now we've got our purple with a big bit of tissue in it, and we've got our pink. So I can see that pink one a lot better now I've stamped that purple one in the way on there as well. I'm going to move that to one side, and I'm going to get this nice and clean again. No, too much cleaning instead of the stamps. Don't do cleaning. I'm going to pop that over there, because you know what's coming next. We need to dry this again. Give it a real good dry. We need some drying music, don't we? A little button I can just press. Ding, ding, ding. Obviously it's not copyrighted. There we go. I'm going to do the back as well. This is my final dry. There we go. So now we need to stamp our big flower one last time. I'm just making sure it's dry. And we're going to do it in black. So I'm going to grab our black. And we're just going to stamp that wherever we think. I'm going to do it there, I think. Boom. That's where it's going. All over. Ding, 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 ding. Give it a good press. Now, if any out of the ones we've done today is going to react and that oxide's going to push to the top, it is going to be this one because it's got so much oxide underneath it. Oops, I can't even press. Give it a good press over, and that's where your gel pen comes into its own. There we go, give it a lift. So we've got our black on there. I'm not going to do that bit just yet. And then of course, to finish that off, I'm going to grab my white gel pen. And what I'm also going to do on this one, so I'm going to do my usual, what we've been doing so far. We're going to do our little white bits on our centre bit. And we're going to do them on our, I want to say balloons. Reminds me of, do you remember you used to get balloons on a stick? You might still get balloons on a stick, I don't know. I know Rosie got one when she was tiny, from the aquarium. It's a shark, and I know it's a shark because she's still got it to this day. She must have been 2 or 3 at the time, and it's still blown up as good as the day we bought it for her in her bedroom. At some point she's going to turn around and say, Mum, I don't want that shark in my bedroom anymore. But I'm impressed it's still going. And she's got a room on the broom one from when we went to see Room on Broom. But yeah, they remind me of balloon. Evening, Nicola. I know we've worked hard this morning. We have. And I was late. Sorry. I mean, the one time I put something in the calendar. To be fair, it's been all go this weekend, so can't shout it like a lady. And I'm hoping Mr. Rue's gone to go when she wanted to come home, if she's even home. Right, so we've done our usual. That sounds awful, doesn't it? He will. He'll go and get her. Right, so we've done our usual round edge. However, on this one, if I pick this one up as well, can you see I've gone around the very edge as well and down its stalk? Yep, and I think it just helps make it jump out from the background, because there's that one and there's that one. Yep, I think it just helps a little bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to come back in and we're just going to go in there, and that one. Not all of it, just bits of it. See, this bit here is really arguing with it. I don't know what's going on there. And then we're just going to grab the stalk one. I'm going to take that all the way down. And you notice I'm not trying to draw a line, I'm doing like scratchy lines, yep. So scratchy lines all the way down to the bottom. Or up from the bottom to the top, whichever way is easier, whichever way you find easier holding that pen and your paper. There we go. And let's do a little bit of doodlish just around the doodling around the edge. We might do a bit of white on that as well. So, a little bit. Oh, come on. There we go. Just around the edge. And then if you happen to come across your design, so your stamped image with your doodling, stop before it, give it a couple of milli break, and then go again. Yep. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my white pen again and just add a little bit. I've not done this on the other one, but I think it just adds. I'm just going to come up a little bit on here and out across on here. So I'm just going along that black line, just a smidgen. And then, so that was on the inside, this is on the outside. If you wanted to, you could sit and doodle in your lines, do some doodling that way. Oops, that's nowhere near. I'm going to go across the top here as well. And that's the reason I try and do little lines, so I know if I'm going off, it's only a little bit that's gone off and not a whole lot. There we go. Right, last bit. Oh, Debbie's back because the rugby game's been cancelled. That's not fair. No, it's nice to have you back, Debbie, but it's not fair. Rugby's been cancelled. Right, so sentiment time. That's all we've got left on this last one to do. So what sentiment do I want to pop on there? What have I not used? Kind thoughts I've not used, have I? So I'm going to grab my little scraps again, because these are just great for your sentiments. Oh, have I done kind thoughts? I've lost track of which ones I've used. No, I have done kind thoughts. I now need, what's my last one? Happy thoughts. That was close. That confused me, you could tell then. Like, nope, I'm sure I've done that one. Nope, I've not. So I'm just going to do happy thoughts on this, I think. So I've got a really big piece of card here, haven't I? So I'm going to stamp it right in the middle. And where's my doodle? Hang on. I'm going to doodle. You know, before I said you don't have to use guillotine if you don't want to. Just doodle your edge. So I'm going to doodle something. So I might have gone a bit big on this, but we'll see. There we go. So I've now got my doodle around my edge. I'm going to grab my scissors. I've not used my scissors much today, have I? And instead of using my guillotine, because you saw how badly wrong that went before, I'm now just going to give myself a nice little border. And it really doesn't have to be. Anything too much. So there you go, you've got a really fancy edge. And then I'm going to grab, have I left myself enough room? This is the question. Oh, it's like I thought it through. I'm just going to glue this on here. Get that lid back on. I'm going to put my happy thoughts on here. I know I'm wasting card there, aren't I? So it was a scrap to start with. Right, and then we're just going to do exactly the same. So we're just going to make a nice little border now again with our wiggly woggly edge. I know technical terms. But it's completely up to you how you do it. You could do whatever you fancy. And then it doesn't really matter if, like, I've gone a bit wrong there. You see that edge there? Yeah. So, let's get this all stuck together. I've got my backing card. Dunk, dunk, dunk. I'm going to get this stuck down. I would do if my glue lid wanted to go. Having none of that. There we go. I'm going a bit glue wild there. Let's clean off the end in case that's why it wouldn't come off. Get it all stuck down nicely. Give it a bit of a wiggle. There we go. There we go. And then we've got our lovely little happy thoughts, which I'm going to foam pad them. I'm going to put that one there and there. Oh, these do go everywhere, look. Whenever I use them I get stuck all over my fingers. The really sticky ones. So they do stick, they stick like I don't know what. So you don't put them on unless you know that's where you want it to go. I'm actually going to do that quite straight. There we go. So there we go. That's number 4 done. Let me see if I can grab. Oh, just be careful, I've got glossy accents on that one, haven't I? Let's see if it's dry. Ooh, nearly dry. So today we have done, not that one. We started out with, let's see if I can find it, come on. There we go, I am fingers and thumbs. I'm going to pop that to one side. We have done, I don't know whether I'm going to get them all in. We started off with our inky one. Yeah, it seems like ages ago, doesn't it? But we did it. We did it, oh no, that's the one. That's the one I did today with my splatter marks on it and some rather skew squiff stamping. Yep. We then did our splodgy backgrounds with our glossy accents in the middle. There we go. We then did our splatty inky corners. Yeah. And then finally we've just done our super messy one. So I hope you've had fun with them. And we've covered quite a lot, haven't we, really? We've done all different techniques, and hopefully you've got a bit of a idea of why I do things certain ways sometimes, and the difference between stamping straight with your inks, your oxides, and spritzing them, and it just gives you that little difference. And we did a bit about inks and oxides, so we've done lots. We have, haven't we? So thank you. I do hope you've enjoyed it this morning. Let me see if I can get the right button. I was trying to be organised and it's not happened, has it? There we go, we're back. So thank you for joining me today. Oh, thank you all. Which stamp set is that? It is Wild and Free, I think it's called. Barbara's going to start using the Distress Oxides more. Absolutely, they are. I love my Distress Oxides. I do love my inks as well, don't get me wrong. I do love my inks as well, but you can do so much, can't you, with the oxides? Just different. And hopefully it's inspired you today to have a go and have some fun. And I'd love to see what you've been making alongside, and I hope I've not gone too fast. So do let me know. We will be doing another one in April, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be towards the end of April. I can't remember the date. I know it's got a 2 in it at the end of April, so 20, yeah, that late in April we'll be doing another one. So we will be back in April to do another one. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed it. Brush would work as well, yeah. Inks work. Your what are they called? Eyes inks would work for it. So anything like that would work. Maxine's looking forward to April's already. That's just what we want to hear. So we are back. Oh, before I forget, I have updated the front page of our website. There is now a little box on it where you can subscribe to our newsletter, which will be starting next month, and it'll give you a heads up on when we have got our crafty rule-alongs, because hopefully we'll be making these a thing. We'll be doing some special offers every month. We would what else is going in there? Just what we're up to, really, and links to stuff we've got going on. So we've got our KISS projects every Saturday, and things like that. So it's a newsletter. You'll get it once a month if you sign up on our website. Would the Make Art inks work? I'm not sure about those ones. Give them a whirl. Absolutely, just give them a whirl. I would if you're going to try inks out, I would always treat them as an oxide first, just because they're temperamental. Yeah. And then if they work, you can have a go using them more like a distress ink as well. But definitely try it as a oxide. By that I mean put it onto your paper and you first colour on, and then put your second ink. I'm showing you down here, it doesn't help. So you put your first layer of colour on, and then you put your second on using a blending tool or something like that. There you go. So hope that helps. I hope you've had fun. It's blendable ink. There you go. It should definitely work then. Absolutely. I haven't heard of it. I will have a quick read up on it and see. I am lazy. I'm a distress inks girl. They're all sat there, and that's what I use. So I don't really venture out much of my comfort zone of inks. I should do, really. Might have to have a play. So anyway, thank you for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow night as usual, monthly Make Monday at 7. Yeah, so 7 tomorrow night. I hope you can join me then, and I would love to see what you've been up to this morning creating along with me. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for joining me. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.